The lass was handed a rosette of red plaid that clashed rather dramatically with his grey and blue, and her hand trembled as she reached up to pin it over his heart. She fumbled, nearly dropping the pin, and winced when she pricked herself instead of his sark. And so, Si did break with tradition, reaching down to still her shaking hands. Her eyes met his, a flash of fear and determination, but he guided her hands to finish the pinning, and then raised the bleeding finger to his lips, wondering even as he kissed her what had possessed him. Her cheeks reddened, and he lowered her hands, releasing them so that he could pin his own rosette on her shoulder. He tried to be quick. Too many people watching them, tittering over his impromptu display, though he could sense the dagger glares of that same cousin Logan, and 3 identical replicas of him, his brothers, elder and younger. But Si's hands were too large, and Ellen was so tiny, and her breasts were pushed up by her stays. It was impossible not to brush across them as he pinned her, deepening her blush. What a wretched tradition! What a softness unlike any he'd ever known! From his sporran, Si carefully withdrew the thistles, still in remarkably good condition after being transported, and when Maggie handed over her sister's bouquet, he added the 2 purple flowers, safely out of reach of an errant finger, murmuring, "Careful of the thorns, my lady." She recognised them, of course, and her eyes shot back to his, brimming with unshed tears. Lord, he'd gone and made the lass cry on her wedding day, and they weren't even wed yet. That had to be some kind of record. Father Sinclair appeared, stepping between them to enter the kirk, severing the magic spell that had surrounded them. He motioned for the bride and groom to join him just outside the door, and there, in the shade-dappled sunshine, he spoke priestly words about the purpose of marriage that brought Si back to earth, a reminder of the transaction taking place, and expectation of fruitful multiplying, rather than pretty words of devotion and endless blue eyes. And then it was time. "Silas Michael Wulfric Alistair Mackenzie, will you take Ellen Elizabeth Brescia Mackintosh, here present, to be your lawful wife according to the rite of the Holy Mother Church?" Elizabeth Brescia? Had he known she had 2 middle names to his 3? "I will," he said. Behind his bride, young Maggie sighed. "And Ellen Elizabeth Brescia Mackintosh, will you take Silas Michael Wulfric Alistair Mackenzie, here present, to be your lawful husband, according to the rite of the Holy Mother Church?" The lass hadn't taken her eyes off Si since he'd given her those thistles, but she licked her lips and opened her mouth. Not a sound came out. "Miss?" Father Sinclair urged. She exhaled a breath, but still no words. Tears sprang to her wide, petrified eyes once more. She swallowed and glanced around in panic. This was all sorts of wrong. She didn't wish to wed and couldn't bring herself to lie. Nearby, her father cleared his throat impatiently, and Cousin Logan looked ready to pounce. Si took her free hand in his, rubbing his thumb lightly across her knuckles, trying to tell her not to be afraid, trying to give her the strength to offer whatever answer she would, even if her answer was no. She licked her lips again, and then they moved to form the words on another exhale of breath, and Si thought he almost heard a whispered, "I will." Or was it just his own longing to hear it playing tricks on his ears? "Good enough," Father Sinclair murmured. "I believe you have a ring?" He'd forgotten to return to the smithy to collect the jasper inlaid band, distracted as he'd been by his flight to Inverness before the dawn. If she'd been unsure before, she'd despise him now. What a dolt he was. She'd be humiliated here before God and her entire family. Finn Shaw stepped forward, and on his outstretched palm lay the sparkling silver ring. Finn smirked at his surprise, and Si nodded his thanks. Best man, indeed.